we won't exaggerate benefits. So there have actually been examples where we have declined or advised that customers don't proceed with solar because the benefits simply aren't there. Actually, if I could just brag for a second, a couple of weeks ago, we were announced the Supreme Award winners at the Manawatu Business Awards as well. So we won, we entered the award process and we won the Professional Services and Retail Award. Then we won the Small Business Award, and we were also awarded the Supreme Business Award as well. So we're pretty proud of that. Throw that in there and give us a pat on the back. Before we move into why solar, we're CANS members. So I don't know if anyone's heard of CANS, but CANS is the Sustainable Electricity Association of New Zealand. Hello. Come on in, there's drinks and things down the back. There you go. So we're CANS members, Sustainable Electricity Association of New Zealand. If you choose at any point to go ahead with solar, that doesn't have to be with us, but I can't stress enough the importance of working with a reputable company. And one way of doing that is to ask that any supplier you choose is a member of CANS. There are some companies that we know are operating in the area who are not and who have actually been removed from the association. So from our perspective, that's probably one really important point that you can put to any company that you are considering dealing with. Why solar? So probably the most important factor here to consider is that solar, in the right application, with the right design, can save money. There's no questioning that. Get some of those factors wrong though, and it can be quite the opposite. So you can save money on power if you go with a grid-tied system. You can also save money in off-grid applications as well. So for example, and I was just talking to a couple before who are building a house in a remote site, some of the costs that we've seen to get power to building sites can exceed or can get up to above $80,000 and more. So, you know, in those sorts of situations, the return on investment is quite clear. Solar is renewable energy, we all know that, feels good, it's an endless supply of power, it decreases your carbon footprint. Another factor as well to be aware of is that we have seen some research come out of the States. There has been no research as far as we're aware in New Zealand to date, but we have seen research come out of the States which suggests that solar not only increases the value of your property but can increase the speed in which you can sell your property if you want to do that. So, you know, there are other external factors to consider there as well. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand you over to Daryl, who's going to give you a little bit of
The grid wasn't designed to take back power, it was designed to deliver it. So in some countries in the world, they've actually stopped people installing solar panels and systems. And one of them, for instance, is in Japan, where after the tsunami that they had a few years ago, there was a great big influx of solar systems, but their grid broke down because of it, because during the middle of the day when power companies generally don't want the power, that's when it's producing most. So the grid breaks down, they can't deal with it. Voltage fluctuations and all those sort of things in regional voltage increases and stuff cause them problems. So in New Zealand now they have got the ability to ramp down your inverter, and your inverter must comply from here on in. It only came in about a month or so ago. So they can actually say, we don't want your power at the moment, and turn it off. So the thing about that is that while you might, a lot of people actually take a bit of store about we can sell it back to the power companies, it's something that we tell all our customers don't take that into account because they might not want it, and B, not far away, they're probably not going to pay anything for it in any case. And in fact, you can set inverters now to turn off that feature, so it won't get exported, in fact. So that's something that's coming. Excess power is a bit of a problem with systems. Unless, of course, you have a battery and you store the excess power. So hybrid systems, as we call them, are connected to the grid and they have batteries that go with them. So you store this excess power and use them at various parts of the day. It's not necessarily used at night, although that's the logical place for it to happen. But there might be times during the day where you're actually using more power than you're producing. So instead of taking it from the grid, it'll take some off the battery for you. And it's the system that controls all of that. It's part of the whole battery system. It's got a very intelligent controller type here with it. And so the hybrid systems that are just now becoming probably reasonably affordable have got all those things with them. And an off-grid system, of course, the battery's power supply. So the size of your battery is determined on how much power you use. And just while I say that, there is a lot of design needs to go into an off-grid system because you are after a power system that will supply your needs. With a grid-tied system or an on-grid system, you merely put up what you need or what the good design tells you to do. So it's pretty much a budgetary thing for on-grid, but it's a requirement thing for off-grid. Quite different. Designs are quite different, and we get a lot of questions saying, what do I need? What size battery do I need to do this? And it's an answer we can never give until we've done a lot of design work.
We approach those projects completely different ways.
Yeah, so those two projects, I mean, we start by doing a lot of work with an off-grid system because we have to know some answers. And with a grid-tied system, it's pretty much, here's a ballpark figure, you're happy with that, then we can start the ball rolling. But so one takes up a lot of time. But regardless of solar type, one of the best things, and we tell this to people regardless, is to change your habits anyway. And what solar's done from our perspective is pointed out a lot of things that bad habits that just waste power, you know. And of course, LED lighting now is becoming more affordable. We've got some up there, for instance, LED lighting on the front. I just haven't got around to putting it on the back yet. But generally, lighting can add up to around about 10% of your home's power bill. So it's significant and a big thing to think about. But even when you've got solar, like, think about that you use the power when you're producing it. So, for instance, instead of having a shower at night, if you can have a shower in the morning, then your solar heats up your water again rather than your grid doing it during the night. So there's quite a lot of things like that, you know. It became evident just with the customer we were dealing with a little while ago that heating is quite a big part, of course. These people are a little bit elderly. They didn't want to bring in bloody wood. They wanted good heating. They didn't want heat pumps. And so we did some research and found out that pellet fires, for instance, only use 50 watts of power while they're running. So there are a lot of things out there that can save your power, particularly when you've got, you know, you're trying to save power, and more particularly with off-grid because you've only got a battery that's so big. So solar system types, there's a few different ones, but they're in basically three categories, which is grid-tied. Now, a good design of a grid-tied solar system will only provide you approximately 40, 45, 50% of your power requirements. So a lot of people consider that they can put in a solar system and that's their power will chop down to nearly nothing, but that's not the case. And that's because of good design. So a lot of people say, well, just put up some more panels, and that's just a waste. Because all you're doing then is you're producing more power, but you're not using it in the daytime. When you are using your power at night time, it's not available to you. So you still can't put up a solar system that gives 100% of your power. In fact, getting over 50 is extremely good. And that'll mainly happen if you actually live at home or work at home during the day. So you're using most of it while it's being produced. That's the best way. And so some people who work all day and come home at night will say to them, listen, this doesn't add up for you, you know. But if you do some sun sometimes it can. So generally 40 to 50% is, and like I say, no good just chucking up a whole lot more panels. At the moment, the best you can get out of excess power from a power company is 10 cents, and that's in the middle of winter, and they'll give you 7 cents during summer. There are some places that don't pay you anything, some power companies, and in fact, if you live in the Hawke's Bay, you're unlucky enough to get it with a fee for having a solar system. So power companies are looking at this in a different way. We do know, though, that the local ones have publicly stated that they don't intend to institute fees for being connected, but I would suggest that we won't be surprised that within 12 months they're not paying you anything, because they don't want to give you incentives for putting the stuff up. You're a competitor, regardless of all the rhetoric that you might read in the papers and all that type of thing. However, even bearing that in mind, the sums that we've done say that it's still worthwhile putting in the system if you forget about what they'll pay you. When we first started installing solar systems, the power companies will pay 1-to-1. So if you were paying 25 cents for your power, they'd give you 25 cents for your power. We were telling people even back then, don't use that as a reason for buying it, because it's not going to last. And that's proven to be the case. What we buy for and everything else, and the same with everyone else here really. What happened a couple of years ago now is that solar panel manufacturers became so prolific that a lot of them started going broke, and a lot of the more entrenched ones went broke, to the point where even the largest panel manufacturer in the world went broke. And to boot, they were a Chinese company. A lot of Chinese companies defaulted on a lot of payments that used to be propped up by the government, and they stopped doing that. So what happened was a lot of the good panel manufacturers went broke, and now they've weeded out, because they were inefficient, obviously, they couldn't keep up with the cheaper ones. So they went broke, and now that the inefficiency had gone, now the panel prices are starting to actually creep back a little bit. And so I think that we've reached a point where they can't get much cheaper, and there's a little bit of settling now, but in saying that, in the last couple of months, we have had some panel price increases. With cheap panels, though, comes a bit of a risk, and we've got one here that we keep that in stock to show people what a bad panel is. And it's never been used. It was brought to us by a supplier with a price and promise to sell and all that sort of thing. And it started falling apart pretty much once we got it in our showroom. So we keep it as an example to show people what cheap is about, and the fact that we know through our association with CNs that there has been a number of solar systems replaced in New Zealand because of bad panels already. And these are ones that have only been installed in the last few years. So getting good gear is very important. We put lots of store on that. So what is good gear? What is good gear? Good gear is what we decide to use. You know what I mean? We spend a lot of time investigating. We do a lot of R&D. We fit them. We use them. We know we're in the know, so we hear all these things and we stay clear of certain things. Now, as far as the panel is concerned, worldwide there is a thing called, it's a classification, and panels are classified into a few different groups, but the top one is called Tier 1. So a Tier 1 panel has to comply with certain things that and they're tested by certain groups. They have to have warranties, they have to have various other things. Their companies have to be a viable company, for instance, and a whole lot of things like that. And so a Tier 1 panel is imperative. However, in saying that, one of our biggest sellers is a Mitsubishi panel. And Mitsubishi panel is more expensive. It's the best made panel you'll ever see. It doesn't qualify for, one of the qualifications for Tier 1 is it has to be, your warranty has to be insured. And this came about because when all those panel manufacturers went broke, all of a sudden their warranties went out the door with them. So nowadays, a Tier 1 panel has to be insured, its warranty has to be insured. So they give 25 years warranty, but Jesus, are they going to be around for 25 years? So that warranty has to be with either Lloyd's or Shape. And that's they're two worldwide companies that provide the warranty insurance. However, Mitsubishi quite blatantly said, we're bigger than them, we'll warrant them ourselves. And Mitsubishi have been around for a long, long time. They're a large company, and they self-warrant them, and we wear that. So that's the only reason you won't see a Mitsubishi panel on the Tier 1 list. But trust me, it's a lot better than most.
You can actually see that too, eh? When you see it.
Look, you can have a look later and see the difference, and you can point out the differences. But performance-wise too, you know, we've got a, we've used a lot, and we offer people generally a base system, and then they say, we have this option if you wish. I don't know, 70% or more go for Mitsubishi panels and pay a little bit more. Well, not a little bit more, it's like $150 a panel, but it's worthwhile.